All right, go ahead and state your name.
My name's Eddie Moore.
And where you from?
Originally from Houston, Texas. Live in Kansas City.
How long you been in Kansas City?
It's been about 6 years now. So.
Oh yeah. Did you go to school here or what?
Yeah, I went to UMKC for a graduate degree.
You got a what degree?
What is it?
It's a B.
It's like a master's in. I think it's an MA in jazz studies.
Okay, and then you teach too?
I teach privately. Yeah.
All right, and jazz is your main thing, or what did you?
Jazz is my main music, honestly. I played classical probably up until the point where I switched over to jazz. And I switched over just because I was listening to a lot of hip hop, and I heard those influences as a classical musician. But you know,
your family, did they do music too?
Yeah, my mom is a vocalist. My dad's a music enthusiast and photographer.
And you played all the way through. I mean, when did you start playing?
I started playing when I was probably like 4.
All right, and you took classical lessons or what?
Yeah, I started with Suzuki, and then took classical lessons. I played violin in between that time for a couple years, and then when I got to high school, I did marching band, of course, in Texas.
Did the schools have a lot of music programs in there, or support of that type things, or what?
Yeah. I mean, I played piano, and then when I got to 5th grade, you know, it kind of opens up where it's like you can join orchestra, you can be in band, you can also do sports. And so I should have played trumpet. For some reason, I chose the violin. I don't know why.
And you didn't do any sports at all?
And I played football. Okay. Yeah. So through 5th grade to 7th grade, I played violin and football.
What position, you remember?
I played DB, receiver. Yeah.
All right, cool. And you've been here in Kansas City. You play around locally?
Yeah. Play in a couple different bands. A lot of jazz. Have a jazz fusion group of my own.
Your own group has been together how long, you say?
Ooh. It's hard to... At least since 2013, so like 2012.
So y'all pretty tight. And you were telling me you signed a record deal or what?
Yeah, we just signed with Roper-Dope, and the 3rd album will be out.
Where's that located? Yeah.
They're out of Philadelphia.
Okay, that's cool. And it is a jazz label or what? Or is it...
Actually, they're kind of like how I am. It's a jazz-based label, but it's a lot of like, I mean, that word is so big.
Yeah.
So it's like jazz, hip-hop fusion, soul, urban music, really urban music. You know, I don't know.
Do they have a lot of artists on their label or?
Yeah. I think it's like 16 maybe.
Okay.
It's more of like they call themselves a label, but the way that they think about it is like a collective. So it's like human-to-human interaction, musicians helping musicians, and that type of thing. Like, and I'm really kind of finding that out. So it's like just this really big network of guys that are really serious that want to help each other because, you know, you got to keep the flywheel pushing. You know?
They have pretty good distribution.
Yeah, and they have worldwide distribution and, of course, digital. Now, everything's changing so much.
Yeah.
Like
they still do tour support and all that, or not?
With the tour support, and this is my first time, so it's not like tour support how like you think about it with the label where it's like money, gigs, and stay, but it's like, you know, help booking the gigs.
Yeah.
And getting there, you know, with that collective. Like, it's good to be a part of it because we're in the Midwest, so it's like, we just did a show with another group, Adam and Kizzy, who's in Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sidewalk Chalk, who's blowing up, is in Chicago. Mm-hmm. They don't have anyone from Kansas City, so we're like taking that spot. And then they have people in Texas too, so it's like anyone coming through the country or through our part of the country, I'm trying to help them to enhance our scene, really. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now you get to hear, because they're coming through Kansas, they have a reason to come through Kansas City. And so it's the same way for us going to them.
You have sisters and brothers?
Oh, no, yeah, I do. I'm like, no.
You busted.
Yeah, no, I have a brother, he's 17 years older than me, which is why I'm kind of like, you know, no, I grew up the only child, so, no.
So, what are your plans right now?
Traveling, playing music, and networking. Like, just want to find more like-minded people and play serious music to people who love music. That kind of is what drove me to Kansas City. Like, I felt in a rut in Houston. Like, the stuff I was writing, I couldn't really experiment with those guys for whatever reason. And then it drove me to get better. And then when I moved here, I was like, oh.
Do you write too?
Yeah, I write. I mean, that's my main thing, writing.
Writing.
Yeah, when it comes to the band, we write everything. When we started with Outer Circle, it was just like, original. Can we do a 4-hour gig of original music?
And you're going to expand your writing into other...
like forums?
Yeah, pop and...
yeah, definitely pop and R&B.
Yeah.
That's my next thing. I've been doing a lot of hip-hop stuff in studio, so writing maybe more pop tunes, pop-like tunes for vocalists, especially as a pianist. I've been learning a lot of those songs as well, so...
So who are some of your influences? The people you like and you listen to and just, you know...
First one that comes to mind is definitely Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I guess as a young kid, I've been hearing Miles Davis all my life, even if I didn't understand the music, through my dad. And then Frank Zappa, like Miles, Frank Zappa, John Coltrane. And then I'm trying to think what my mom listened to, and then she just listened to a ton of R&B.
Yeah, you were telling me that you know, you like modern music. Or you focus more at this point in your life. You've been more focused on modern music rather than the traditional jazz. What are the big differences you see between the two?
That's feel. Like the feel of it, it's not so much swinging anymore, but yet the communication is still the same. Yeah. Like it's still jazz, and the language is still there, and you're still hearing like a regurgitation of like, you know, Miles and Coltrane and Coleman Hawkins, but because the feel is different and the harmonic spectrum is a little different, like, and I mean that by like, and not to get all technical, but you know, when you're playing bebop, there's 2 5/1s in there, and that's what made it really different from swing, because those guys wanted to play over more harmony, to be able to play more things and more interesting things. So it's like now you know, because everything's built on top of that, so it's like you come from swing to bebop, and from bebop to like hard bop, from hard bop to modal jazz, and then from modal to just straight up fusion funk modal. Once the whole modal realm came, it was like, okay, well, we could play over one chord, I could do this. And so even like that tune we were listening to, it's like, that's modal, but then the feel's different. It's odd meter. And I think the first guy that I was really listening to that caught my attention, modern musician, was Robert Glasper and Brad Mehldau. And Robert Glasper, Houston pianist, his album Canvas, a lot of that stuff is in odd meter and you don't know. Like some of them are in 7 and 9 and these interesting grooves that are like hip hop that catch your ear, but then when you go to play with, you're like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not a 4 anymore. But you don't know, and so I think that's the main thing. Not saying that they weren't playing in odd meter in the past, because they are, but I definitely think that that's a major trait of post-2000 jazz music. Like, the different feels. I think it's like bringing more of like a world, you know, that comes from world music. And I mean, it comes from African culture. So.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Haven't thought about that since like 5 years ago. So it's different. Kind of doing the same thing I'm doing, but being able to sustain like the life that I want. Like,
how old are you now?
I'm 30.
Okay.
So at 40, having a couple albums out on my belt, well, more, of course, traveling with more serious musicians, and then like as far as the financial aspect, like that growing into something where I can be in and out of tour and playing and have a house.
I'm gonna throw a twist the other way. What are your views in politics and what's going on in the world today?
See, and that changes what is possible in 10 years. Especially now. Man, things are real messed up here. You know, and I've been in and out the country a couple times.
This is an election year. You got
man,
something different going on.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to me because I kind of have an old soul, and my parents, I feel like, taught me a lot about African history and African American history, and so it's like I'm witnessing the same thing my parents were going through in a way,
Yeah.
but different because no one's self-aware.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm born in '85, but everyone born probably after me, and like especially in the '90s, if they're African American, I don't think they're self-aware. Like they don't really know. They don't know what they've done, what our people have done, what we've been through, what we've been over.
They've grown up in a technology where they just getting iPads and phones
Right.
and all that, so things are just kind of given to them, and some of the history has been
Oh yeah,
Cloud-
completely taken off.
clouded and whatever.
And then it's really inherent in the music now. Like, while like my dad was younger, he was coming up on black music where it was like, you know, Chuck Berry,
Yeah.
and you can see that, and you heard it distinctively. And now in hip hop, which is like the young person's music and R&B, you don't hear it. It's like been weaved out. All they're talking about is like sex, drugs, and getting money. So they think that a generation and a whole, you know, race of people think that that's cool.
Yeah.
And it ain't even just black people anymore, or like, you know, it's just like the whole urban environment. And so I think that's the main difference. And then all the things that happened in the civil rights, like no one takes the time to think about like all the African American leaders and civil rights leaders are killed by the government.
Yeah.
Like clearly, like they're assassinated. And so now there's like, it's just different. No one's self-aware. They don't know where they come from, and then they're not self-aware to know what's going on around them.
Okay,
So-
back to the question now. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? After, you know, being this aware of what's going
Right.
on and being able to reflect on the different generations and what has happened throughout these generations, and I guess a lot will depend on the terrorist things that are going on
Right.
and where the country sits and all that. But where do you see yourself
I'll be doing the same thing.
relationship wise?
Right. I'll be doing the same thing. I kind of have a plan to...
You plan to get married or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I definitely
Have
want-
a family.
I definitely want family. I definitely want to be married. I think that's an important thing. If things go way south on the American side, man, I'm moving to Costa Rica. I know that sounds really crazy because it's like this remote place, but for real, like I'm just gonna have all that in Costa Rica, and however I can make music, if it's me playing in a little hotel gig with my piano and family's tight and I'm able to do what I'm doing, then I'll do that because they've grown up a little bit different because they're in the Caribbean, Central America area, and so black culture is part of their culture, and they really hold on to that.
You plan on staying in Kansas City area, or
I'll stay in Kansas City as long as I can, really. I think
you like
I love
it here?
KC.
Yeah.
KC's home to me. My dad's family's from here,
Oh, okay.
and they've lived here forever. Like, we're the only ones, because of the grandmother situation, moved.
Mm-hmm.
And so KC is home. I definitely want to keep it home base, especially with the, you know, with the cost of living, and then the musician community here is incredible. And so, like, everything that's happened positively with the band, we haven't been on tour yet.
Yeah.
I can't say that's from 3 and 5 tours to the East Coast. Man, that's from what we're doing in Kansas City.
Yeah.
The internet makes the world smaller, so, like, I think if you take control of that as a young musician trying to get out, you know, then you can be seen. You don't have to go anywhere, man. People are filming videos in their living rooms.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you play a little something for me?
Oh, man.
Just it could be anything, you know, just to.
I don't play. Oh, do I know this still?
Okay, if you were advising a youngster coming up in this business, what would you tell them? What advice would you give to somebody growing up and looking up to you?
Educate yourself in every way. Like, even if you're not a musician, educate yourself. Find out what's real. and go about that. Like, however, like, find out what's real music. Find out what's real life. What's happening in the world for real. And educate yourself and be serious about whatever it is you're going to do. No matter what anyone tells you. You know what I mean? So.
All right. Thank you for the interview.
For sure. Man, you guys
and this is
great questions.
What is the date anyway?
Today's February 2nd. Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day. We might live this day over and over and over. I'm old enough to remember that movie. Bill Murray.
All right. Hey, Mr. Eddie.
What's going
Eddie
on?
Moore, how's it going?
Good.
All right, so it's been you said 4 years since
It's probably been about 4 years.
Yeah, since you was back over here, and I had did this other interview, which I haven't published yet. Back when you had hair.
I'm not gonna take off this hat.
But anyway, it's a different time we're living in right now. This is the Tuesday tomorrow. I guess midnight tonight, right?
Midnight tonight, yeah.
What's happening here in Kansas City?
I guess at midnight we're going on a 30-day lockdown for this coronavirus. There's a coronavirus going on, which is a thing of the flu. Because I should tell everyone about that.
Yeah, what is the date anyway?
Today is the 23rd.
Yeah.
My wrist is messed. Today is the 23rd
of 2020.
2020. If you ever watched any of those Back to the Futures, we should be on hoverboards and floating cars by now. You know, they're in the year 2020, back in like 1990.
You're pretty athletic yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
What do you do? A lot of is it basketball or just all sports?
I mainly played football, and then I did aggressive sports a lot, where I rode bikes and did BMX and the whole skate park thing. I'll just put it like that.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, that's kind of my background in athletics. Of course, I like lift and kind of stay active and work out. So
back then, you were doing the album Queens.
I was doing Kings and Queens
yeah.
probably then. Yeah.
How did that album do?
It did pretty well, I thought. Was able to get on the road a little bit, spread it around. It was really in depth. Like, each song was probably about 10 minutes. So I heard it was a really good road trip album. In our society today, people aren't really listening to albums anymore. They're more on like the singles and things like that. But I thought the album did really well. It got us a rope-a-dope deal, which I'm psyched about. Like record label thing. And I got to go to New York and LA and Detroit and Costa Rica and kind of do our first official tour with that project, which was great. It sounded great because of you as well. And
I appreciate that.
I liked it. I'm proud of it, for sure.
So, what are you up to these days? Up to this point, yeah, because you were gigging pretty regularly.
Yeah, I was gigging pretty regularly. I've been doing a lot of teaching, so my focus is always, for the last maybe 2 years, has been private lessons and teaching adjunct at college. I enjoy it a lot. I love sharing music with my students. I teach anyone from like 7-year-olds or to adults, which is all fun. They're doing different things, and I enjoy just sharing the love of music with them and transcribing solos and doing whatever. And then me and Erica started a studio. So we have a studio space that we've been renting out for rehearsals called Tribe Studios, and I've been running that and managing that and learning about all the things that are involved with having a studio and gear and sound. And just focused on a new project. I started a new group called We the People, which is a traditional piano trio, but with the DJ. So I've added some voiceover type samples and another like fourth dimension of electronic sound over it. I'm playing piano, keyboard, analog synth, and our drummer is playing he's playing a drum set, but he has electric pad and just a little bit more electronic elements. It's a little bit more intimate because it's mainly the three of us opposed to a quartet. I'm currently have been working on the production for that album, which I'd say would be out in the summertime. But as we're going into this pandemic, the whole music industry is basically evaporated.
Yeah, speak on that. So what has happened because of this whole thing? Has all the gigs or everything has shut down?
Everything's shut down. Right now, as I know, at least where we are in Kansas City, you're talking about no gigs or live performances for 8 weeks. I think that'll personally go longer. Restaurants are closed. Everything's closed unless you're trying to go to the grocery store or the mechanic or essential stuff, you know?
And people are hoarding on that?
Yeah, and people are hoarding toilet paper out of all things, you know?
That's
it's like
crazy.
all the vegetables and fruit and vitamins are on the shelf, but they're walking out with bundles of toilet paper under their arms. Because I guess you need to wipe your ass. Sorry.
Yeah.
Which is funny to me.
Yeah.
I'm born in the 80s, so... And I grew up in Houston, so I've been in states of emergency when the hurricane and stuff hit, where, you know, we didn't have power for a month. And you were getting things like water and gasoline and cash, not toilet paper. You know, more important things. So, no gigs for 8 weeks. And I think that's globally. Anyone from Jay-Z down to Joe Blow isn't playing, isn't touring, they're not leaving their house. This has put the music industry in a real weird place because, you know, the musicians, we think we have it bad, but I talk to my sound tech friends and all the people behind the scenes that put on the shows, you know, and build stages and do light design and managers and all these things, and they don't have jobs either. There's no unemployment for us, and it's just a weird time right now, a time of uncertainty, and we're all trying to figure out what to do. I think technology is moving in the forefront really hard, while visual aspect needed to accompany your music, but you could get by without it. It has become the end-all be-all in the future, and I think for the vitality of a musician, you basically have to do that now. Like, you're not just gonna share your music online without a visual aspect. The people need to see you, they need to hear you, they want to talk to you, you know, that whole live streaming thing. In-home studio is taking over. Yeah. We're still in the early stages of this. Like I said, we're going into a lockdown tomorrow. But as things progress into the year and months of this state, I believe that will be the only way to share your music with the world.
You're over here right now. I'm doing some technical work with you.
Yeah.
To help you get your...
it's an all or nothing move right now.
your laptop set up so that everything's working so that you can do work at home.
Exactly, so I can work at home. I'm thinking about, you know, I've already, since I said I was doing a lot of teaching, so, you know, what do you do when you can't teach in person anymore? We're talking about virtual lessons, you know, camera, bird's eye view over the piano with a MIDI screen up so the kids can see what I'm playing on their computer screen, and we're doing a lot of screen sharing because we're not trying to sit in rooms with people. that's going to be the thing. I'm in the process of transferring all that over and going virtual. Even colleges are doing that now, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know if this video was in a time capsule, right now we're in a place where we have to stay how far apart from each other?
It's supposed to be 6 feet, and then they're saying no more than 10 people in the same room or gatherings of 10. We're washing our hands every time we enter foreign places or places, being really germ conscious. And hand sanitizer is going for $50 a bottle.
Wow.
And it's kind of weird. I think the media has played a huge role into scaring people. And I really think this toilet paper craze is a social experiment. It's like, who told you needed all this toilet paper and why? You can't explain why you need it. There's a world before toilet paper, clearly. Yeah. But I think it was a media thing that scared everyone, and it's working. It's gone, and people are fighting over it. It's kind of crazy. So, the age of technology is coming up. What happens when they start controlling the internet, possibly?
Yeah, are you afraid of that? If they shut the internet down?
I am.
What would you do then?
I wouldn't do anything. Actually, I'd still do what I'm doing, but you wouldn't share with anyone.
Yes.
You'd have to pick up the phone and call people, but even today, people don't want to call you and talk to you. They want to text you. That's a thing. And then without the internet, you're talking about and I know what that's like because right now I've moved into an artist apartment. We don't have internet wired in the building because it's brand new, so I'm actually dealing without having internet at my house. So, we're streaming it off our phones for data. You're talking about no TV. You're talking about no global communication, which is real detrimental because we've really started to rely on the internet and it being a free market. That's the thing. Before this happened, about a year or two ago, we were already discussing regulations of the internet. I forgot the specific word they used for it, but it was basically where telecommunications would basically shut down viewership of certain websites that they didn't want you to go to. And it should just be a free market. It has always been a free market. And when that happens, if that happens, I think there'll be some serious things that the people will have to take into consideration. I know in other countries that's happening. In countries in Africa, they don't have access to internet. The government has actually shut it down because they don't want the people sharing the videos to the rest of the country of the real messed up things that they're doing. I know that sounds crazy, but it's very real. Because right now everyone's got a camera on their phone. So police brutality has moved up into the forefront of viewership because everyone's, the police pull you over and you're like, phone out, I feel safe, I'm gonna hold you accountable. You know what I mean? Things like that. So, it's just a crazy time with technology. And, when you watch these old movies where, what's that movie, Gamer? I use that as an example. Like when you watch that movie Gamer and people are jacking into a Sims Facebook type of world to live their life because they don't leave their house anymore, and people are, the gamer character is a human being playing a game, but he's real. I think we're headed that direction. We're definitely, you got to think, if everyone's not leaving, then their only sense of human interaction and communication is online.
Well, what's your encouragement for society right now?
My encouragement is not to lose focus on the arts and the importance of art and the importance of, sorry, my phone is blowing up, and the importance of human interaction on a very fundamental level. We're musicians and artists, so I often sit back and think about what we're doing, and we're manipulating sound waves to persuade your mind to do different things and invoke emotions. And that's a very powerful thing that goes back to the first time of humanity, from banging on cow skins and making drums and gut strings and all those things. We just want to do that. We feel the need to do that as humans. So it's like, while we're in an age where art means less to people, I think it's still the most important. I think it's one of the things that is going to keep people, comfortable, make them feel better, make them, keep them motivated. So my motivation to people is just try to find some coping mechanism other than being on Instagram and watching people do crazy things on their phone.
Watching the news 24/7.
And watching the news 24/7, you know, go back and find some of these albums, stream them if that's what you're doing. Be engaged with artists. We're different kinds of thinkers. And just, you know, remember what it feels like to be a human being before you got on the internet to do everything. I'm born in 85. I remember having a cell phone and it coming out when I was 16. You know, nowadays, like, all school is moved online. The teachers are sending information to these kids online. They're grading them online. The kids are doing homeschool. They're not interacting with other kids in person. That means no sports. No music classes where, like, they play orchestra with each other. And I think that's a big part of society. You have to be social. And social doesn't mean texting your friend on Facebook. You know, actually talking and using words and having to formulate ideas and listen to people even though you don't agree with them, and hashing that out without pulling out a gun and firing, or, you know, getting into confrontations and things like that. I'm curious on where this is all gonna go, and I just hope everyone is safe and just kind of stays calm. Honestly, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, time will tell.
That's a Bobby tune. It will. And you know, I'm a jazz musician at heart, and I think this puts our industry in a weird place. You know, what does that mean? You know, are you going to be playing live in front of people like how we used to all the time and going on tour? Or are you creating music in the computer? Or are you really looking at, you know, most of our music is recorded acoustically still and mainly focused in that realm. And I think all that stuff is a thing of the past. You know, I'm talking like we're in the future, but who knows when you might watch this. I think all this stuff is in the past. You know, I'm saying to these kids, even in college, it's like, what are we setting you up to do if you don't know how to work computer music? I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna be playing restaurant gigs, and you might have a band where you're trying to tour and do what we're doing. But if you can't create in a DAW or in the computer and produce and make it sound good there, how much can you diversify your income? Right. That's really the thing. And I know a lot of people hurting right now that are badass performers and bad, like, jazz musicians, and they can pick up an instrument and play anything. But right now, it doesn't really matter because you can't play.
Right.
Anywhere.
All right. Well, thank you. I just wanted to get you
You're welcome.
a quick update from the last videos.
Oh man, the world is not ending.
All right.
They just came out with a new model of their old design, basically. But it's new parts, but it's still the same functionality and the same.
All right. We just left Mr. Brady.
Yeah. Looking at these Wurlitzers.
You can turn right there. But that's all right. We'll go to the next one.
We'll go to the next one. I'm hanging right.
Yeah. And I got Eddie Moore in the car here. He's got me in the car.
Hey, we got our seatbelts on. We're good.
And the last time we talked, it's the last time I interviewed you in the studio. We were.
Ooh, I think it was pandemic.
Yeah.
We were like a first year pandemic.
Yeah, and so we were trying to figure out where we were gonna go. I think you did your album, didn't you? Release that album. You gonna turn left here?
Okay. Yeah, I think I just released Misunderstood.
Was that the one?
It's like 2020.
It might have been, yeah. It's been a minute though. 'Cause it hasn't been 5 years. I remember the first one.
Been like 2.
Yeah, a couple of years since then.
Yeah.
And so what you been up to over these past couple of years?
Oh,
They dropped a little bit of the pandemic, so we aren't wearing masks as much, and most people have gotten it. Did you ever get it?
I did. I think, it's interesting. I caught it after I got vaccinated.
Uh-huh.
We got it, I think, at a New Year's Eve gig, of course. It wasn't too bad. I think I caught Omicron, which was cool.
Yeah.
Just kind of stayed at home. I wrote some music. Wrote a really nice tune, actually. But yeah, we're out of it, kind of, sort of, and somewhat normal. I think for me right now, I've just been teaching a lot, which I love, and started teaching at KU, doing contemporary music, doing the history of hip hop.
Yeah.
Which is an online course. I do a lot of private teaching, mostly jazz and just music, a little bit of like instrumental production. And I guess in my personal music life, it's just been splitting my time between continuously growing at piano and then growing as a producer and just getting better at that and technology and music. It's a deep, deep world, and I'm always a student.
Did you set up a studio?
I did. I set up a studio. So I set up Tribe Studio Incubator, which is a studio rehearsal space that is available for musicians and creators to rent and come in and do whatever they want. I also do consultations on business and music, so anything between game planning your album, publishing, touring, branding, anything for the indie musician geared toward instrumental music to take their career to the next level and just share all the things that I've learned along the way of getting to where I'm at. It's going pretty good. This year I am a cultural arts grant winner, recipient from Charlotte Street Foundation, which is great. I'm just looking forward to being able to help the community and help independent artists, get control of their career and grow.
Yeah. What about your plans for the future here?
Woo! We're going straight to 18th, huh?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Turn right after that.
There's a couple things where I just partnered with a company. So Tribe Studios will be sitting into a place called Artistry, in which we're building 4 or 5 studios to do the same thing that Tribe is doing and offer more space for creative use and just multimedia use. Backline, DIY approach, so you just kind of come in and have freedom. I'm currently working on another project, another album, a solo album, which is going really well.
Who are some of the members you got on that one?
I got a little bit of everyone I've worked with. Collaborated with a vocalist out of Tulsa named Brand for like an R&B joint. I have Kimmit Coleman on it. I have Zach Morrow's rapping on it again for this one.
Right here.
My dude Dom Chronicles is on it as well. I got Tim Ugotu on it on guitar, and just some friends from the area. That's been good. It's kind of like, it's just good music. I wouldn't even call it jazz. And, looking at getting back out on the road. Looking forward to another semester at KU.
All right.
That'll be good.
Yeah. Hold up.
Oh, that's red. Sorry.
As we drive down 18th Street in Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah.
So, I know there's been some, since the pandemic, I know the whole world has kind of changed up a little bit as far as, it seems like attitudes and stuff. It's a lot of tension in the world, isn't it?
There is a lot of tension, and I think that, there's a lot of tension in the world. I think that, of course, affects us as creators, good and bad, I guess I'm seeing it more in the jazz specific lane, and then geographically, like specific to the Midwest or just Kansas City in general. It's like everyone kind of ran back to the gig life and with a smile and very active, but
you know, not being proactive about getting what they want, what they need, and taking it a little bit more seriously than they did before. I feel like where we're at, there's less creators and more giggers and more of the gig mentality opposed to the artist mentality, which changes some things, especially if you're an artist that floats the gigging world, that changes it for you. And it's just trying to stay positive while being a creator and having fun on gigs.
That has to be hard, you know.
Yeah, it is hard. It's a difficult thing to navigate. Because at the end of the day, you know, if you want to be an artist, you don't want to be a cover musician forever. Right. So then the opportunities and the venues and the places to play, it's just a little different. And the people that are willing to put in the work to be at the artistry level is different. And the attitude in which they come to it was already difficult. But now I feel like the musicians don't see the worth in it when there's more worth in it now than there was before. You know, and I think if one thing the pandemic taught us as everything went virtual is people want to hear more music, they want to hear live experiences. I think the patrons and the listener is better. They're there. They're excited. They want to hear it, but I'm also hearing from them as an artist, they want to hear more art music. They're tired of hearing the same stuff, you know, and if we are artists and we just went through a very traumatic, very different, one of a lifetime experiences, then the music should reflect the art. And I'm kind of looking around and I'm not seeing that. Now I'm speaking from a pianist instrumental perspective. I'm not thinking about the vocalists and the pop lane and the hip hop lane. I think they're doing great. So I would almost say for our instrumental musicians, look at the success that these other genres are having as their art reflects the time. You know, and music is meant to, like, while we're going through this stressful time, we don't need to be stressed. We need to be like uplifting people and using our music and our art to uplift people, not squandering and arguing over gigs and hopping to play any restaurant. And your worth as an artist is not the gigs you play, it's the art you create and the people you move with your vibration. And I think if we focus on that as an overall community, we'll grow and we'll get everything that you actually want for this area of Kansas City, recognition-wise, grant-wise, all that other stuff. You know, I'm hoping that some contemporaries see that, and collaboration is key. Yeah. You know, you don't get anywhere in the world by working by yourself, clearly. Not even Trump does that, you know. So
you plan on staying in Kansas City?
I am. I do plan on staying in KC. I'm working on this project, which I think will be my way of creating some type of alternative outlet for people that are like-minded as myself. If that doesn't kind of go and materialize, I'm definitely moving. Like, I love KC. I'm not from here, but I love it. But I would definitely move. You know, I want to be able to collaborate with other artists. I want to be able to play. I want to be able to be a sideman, but also have my group. And unfortunately, there's just not that many like-minded individuals here, and it wouldn't make sense if I'm not going to continue to try to force the situation of an alternative. I would just go somewhere else where that exists.
Does the politics get weird? Do the politics here, does it make it difficult to...
The politics make it really difficult to navigate because jazz is heavily intertwined with Kansas City politics here. You know, there's all these organizations that have their hand in it, that get money saying, and, you know, in the name of, and saying that they're contributing to it and funding these musical creative outlets for Kansas City jazz. Like, what is that? Like a quote unquote thing. And it's a moneymaker for the city government that trickles down to tourism. It trickles down to, you know, city art designations like UNESCO and and all these things that make money for the city government, but they're making money off art, you know, and when you really look at what jazz is supposed to be, especially with the history of Kansas City jazz and swing and bassy and the solidification of the sound of a culture at a time, dude, you're talking about politics and rebel music. It doesn't make sense. This is rebel music. Yeah. I'm not saying the government can't, you know, be out of it, but, you know, I see a different energy when I play reggae festivals that are DIY and people are out there in the communities thriving and it's independent. I don't see that same energy at a government-sanctioned jazz festival that's supposed to look a specific way and do a specific thing and showcase a specific thing. It's like it's all music and improvised music. Jazz isn't real, but it's improvised music. So I feel like the politics in Kansas City are heavier in our genre of music than in a lot of other cities because of that. And because everything is tied to that, when you are a jazz artist that doesn't fit into that, like, classic, traditional thing, it makes it difficult for you because while you should have opportunities, you don't.
Well, how would you tell the young people coming up now? I know we asked before in other interviews. This is now 2022. How would you tell them to navigate or pursue a career in music if they choose to?
Learn the tradition. That is important. I'm not speaking about this in the realm of like not transcribing and not learning the language. Learn the language. That's where you get your future sound because you're living now. So that is important. Be an artist and stick to your guns. If you wanna play your music and you don't want to just live in the standard realm all the time, like literally 100% of the time, you don't have to. You know, play how you want to play. You know, if you feel like you're out of the box on stage because you're reaching for a specific thing, but you're afraid you're going to lose the gig, who cares? You know, I'll tell you, once you get your own thing going, you'll have all the gigs in the world and it won't even matter. Trust me, it won't matter. You'll be an artist, you'll have bigger gigs than you'll ever have by trying to fit in someone's box that they want you to do. So be yourself. Remember what this culture is about. It's about individualism and it's about the freedom of expression. And you know, read the stories about Ornette Coleman and read the stories about Miles and all these other creators that you learn in school that are these great guys that you should transcribe. Read about their lives. Read about what motivated them, especially if you're a person of color. And read about what their passion in this industry was really about and how they felt about it and how they moved the same way. And it's not going to be easy, but it'll be the most rewarding and just continue to grow. Like, music is growing. We're talking about being a producer. I'm sitting here with an awesome producer, you know, and I have like tons and tons of stuff to learn at in that realm while I'm very good at piano. And just stay a student. And that's the best thing I can say. Like, do you.
You still do some athletic things.
He had to talk about skating. You know, I mean, and that's the other thing, like, music reflects life. So if you're just sitting in the practice room and, you know, live your life. I've started rollerblading again, which is something I've been doing since I was about 16. There was a time in my life that I was like, do I go to college for music or do I want to be a pro rollerblader? And I went to school for music, but now rollerblading has like kept my mind creative and kept my life a certain part of my life enjoyable. You know, it's not only the exercise part, but it's fun to do, and it definitely influences my music in my life. So do the things that you like, take some breaks, go on vacation, go out in the woods, rock climb, It was nerdy. I used to get made fun of about it then, but that's not the case now. So getting back to just being your own person. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Good to talk to you, Greg.
All right. Until next time.
Yep.
All right.